Okay, what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen are the pairs we'll be analyzing today, but try to stay to the end of the video because I will be breaking down each pair, what happened this week, and of course forecasting the next. But I do hope you find this video useful, enjoy it, all the good stuff. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. Okay, so first up, we've got Euro USD like always. Now for this pair, more downside this week, as you can see. A big push there on Thursday, I believe, to the downside, breaking out that consolidation. So coming into the week, we're just trying to see which way price will break out this consolidation. If it broke to the upside, we had some upside targets, and broke to the downside, we had some downside targets as well. The downside target has almost been hit for Euro USD, which was this swing low here. As you can see, massive area in the market, where last time we traded at this area, we had that big surge to the upside, from 2017 January, big push to the upside. So we are currently trading in a strong monthly area of support where we definitely can see some upside, but I do think we'll probably break through that wick first, before we might see some recovery and some correction for Euro USD. But going on to the lower time frames, specifically 4H, you can see we've had this support level here, which price broke through, never got the retest. So during the week, was looking for the retest of that level to get some shorts back down to these lows. However, never got the retest. The market kind of left that level for dust a little bit and just dropped to the downside. So hopefully we can see some upside to retest this level, and then some downside to our monthly wick. So that is the first setup, and the main setup I'll be looking for next week for Euro USD, because again, all time frames are pretty much bearish, structure is still bearish, momentum is still bearish, everything is still pointing to the downside. So simply just looking to continue this trend that has been playing out for quite a while, just to continue and go and take out that monthly wick. However, if we do break back above this area, then this dump to the downside and a push back up could just be a false break of this level, because remember, we're still in that monthly zone. This kind of area here, just monthly support, kind of zooming into the support, seeing what's happening on the lower time frame. So if the market does recover sharply back above this level, we'll be looking for the retest and possibly for a head and shoulder setup, as you can see with the left shoulder there. We've got the head, possibly, if we get back above, and then the right shoulder, and then we could be looking at maybe a reversal or a deeper correction to the upside for Euro USD. So I will be entertaining longs only if we do break above, though. Other than that, then I'm focused on the shorts and just playing that bearish momentum. But if we can break to the upside back above that level, we'll be looking for a push into this zone here. And then if we see some real momentum come back into the level, which we can definitely do because of where we're trading, I'm looking at 1.07600 into that zone, all the way up there, if we can break through that level at 1.06200 as well. So yeah, Euro USD I'm still bearish on, as long as we hold this level as resistance, 1.04900, as long as we hold that as resistance, looking for the retest to go and take out that wick. But if you do break back above, then I will be looking for that kind of head and shoulder setup for some buys to the upside for Euro USD for next week. Okay, so up next, US JPY. So for this pair this week, mainly sideways. Then we did pick up some momentum Thursday and Friday there to the downside. Strong move coming into the week, was looking for a push back to the highs, which we did see pretty early on. So I was favoring a push back into the resistance there, and I said if you can break through, looking for 132 as well. We did see that move back to the highs, but we did not break through. We came straight back down, formed a lower high off the back of some news that happened during the week, and the market dropped quite aggressively after that. In fact, pretty much all the JPY pairs dropped quite aggressively at the same time there. But yeah, US JPY is still technically a bullish market. Our higher low is back here, which we're still holding, and we're still putting a lot of wicks to the downside. So I'm not convinced just yet that US JPY is getting ready to reverse just yet. If we break through this floor here, then I will definitely be a bear for USD but I'm still a little bit more on the fence for this one, and I'm mainly going to play off this level here, because if we can hold this, and I do see USD rolling back over to retest this zone, and we do have some equal highs here, a nice lower high, so I wouldn't be surprised if we do form another lower high to roll back over. So I will be looking at shorts from 129.630, but I would not look to carry the shorts past this zone here, because if we do hold this again, we definitely could rally to the upside. This is where all the momentum came from. If we tap back into there successfully, I would expect price to move back to the highs again for this pair. But if we don't hold this and we get back above it, then yeah, I do expect price to be back, right back at those highs. We can look for a nice break and retest, a nice entry off the back of that, and then take advantage of those buys again. Probably want to drop to the lower time frames to really take advantage of the risk to reward for that opportunity. But yeah, if we break back above that zone, then I'm expecting price to go bullish again, back to highs, and if we break through the highs, then we look at 132, the next psychological level past that. But yeah, my main focus for USD will be on this level here to see what happens with that. If we can hold it as resistance, then I will be looking for that next lower high in reference to these lower highs for one more push to the downside, but I won't go further than that. I'll wait for price to break through that, and then I'll have the bearish bias for this pair. But if we do rally, break straight back above, retest it, then most likely we are going to fill the range back to highs at 131.240, and maybe some higher highs as well if we can break through. But yeah, that is the plan for USD. Okay, so up next, USD CAD. So USD CAD this week, we did see some upside first half of the week, which was expected. We had some upside targets at this area for the week, which was 1.30300. You can see we whipped into that pretty nicely, but then second half we came straight back down. So we did see the momentum we were expecting, but kind of all erased with that last bearish candle there on Friday. But nothing has changed to my overall bias for USD CAD. I'm still bullish on this pair, looking for some more upside. I do have some higher targets than the level we just hit. Mainly at these areas here. Long term again might take 3, 4, 5 weeks to get there, but I do expect us to be heading to those areas, and I'm still expecting more upside for this one. My main focus now is on this higher time frame level, the daily level here. Really strong level of resistance, which the market's held pretty well. Some false breakouts, one there, second one there, another one there as well. Now I'm looking at the market coming to have a retest of this to go bullish and possibly have that larger swing back to those highs, because all of this is just consolidation, and I do believe the market's going to break out to the upside. If I'm wrong, we'll crash back underneath this level, and then we can take advantage of some sells back down to some lows down there. But if we can hold this, I do think we can go back to highs and even higher. So bullish bias for USD CAD, looking quite bearish now, so we need to wait for price to find its floor, put some higher lows in, and then we can get involved. But I will be looking to see if we can hold this level. Then targets for USD CAD will be back at the highs for the week. I doubt we'll head to those in 1 week, so just will be looking to play from this major level of support now back to those highs at 1.30400. So yeah, that is the plan for USD CAD for next week.
Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you find it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video.
Okay, so up next we've got Euro Pound. So Euro Pound this week, we did have some bullish targets for this one back at these highs here at 0.85994, so almost 0.86. We did spike into that, but then did reject it pretty quickly, as you can see, sharp move to the upside. And the market came right back down after we did hit that level. But I'm still overall bullish on Euro Pound. I'm looking at the higher time frames, and we have broken out this corrective structure, so I am still bullish on this pair, and I do think we can head back to these highs up here. Of course, if we do close back underneath this area, then this would just be a big false breakout, and I would shift my bias to bearish, and then we'll look for a push right back down to these lows, but only if we do get back below that trend line will we call that a false break. So still bullish as long as we're above it, and we're coming to some key areas which I was actually looking for the retest of for this week, but unfortunately did not get it. but it does look like we're coming back into this area now. So if we can hold this as support, nice break retest, because when we did have that breakout, never got the retest. So this will be the first time the market is coming back into this level. And if we can hold, targets straight back at those highs, again, long-term targets up here, but I highly doubt we'll do that move in the next week. So we'll be having targets back at these highs again. If we do break through, then we do have the long-term targets up there. We've got resistance here as well to target 0.86500. So I do have multiple targets to aim for, but for next week we'll look at price coming back to those highs. So yeah, for euro pound, we're going to see what type of price action we get at these areas. Again, the market is quite bearish right now, so don't just jump into any buys just because we are at those areas. Wait to see what type of price action we can get. If the market starts to show some rejection, some higher lows forming, then we can get into some buys and targets right back at those highs at 0.86. So yeah, that is going to be the plan for next week. Again, if we do break through, we can continue the trade further. But for the week ahead, we'll just look at a push into 0.856 for next week. Okay, so up next we've got AUD USD. So for this pair, more downside this week, we came into that 0.7 area, which is this, or actually past 0.7, but this level here was our target for the week. And we smashed that pretty early on with a strong move to start the week off. Some news spiked this high, but the market still rolled over. So overall, I'm still bearish on this pair. We've broken under 0.7, very strong psychological level, and very strong level on the higher time frames as well. If I go into the weekly, as you can see, 0.7 here, very strong level of support, big moves to the upside, keeping the structure kind of bullish. But this week we have closed below it with a bit of a wick, so it's not the most convincing close underneath. But we have managed to break through, and if we do successfully stay below, I'm looking for a push back down into these lows here at 0.67260. So as long as we don't get back above, I do think this bearish trend will continue to the downside and see us coming back to these areas. Get back above, then we might see some life coming back into the market. But again, the market is still extremely bearish on multiple time frames, even on the monthly as well. So if you do get back above, not trying to push the trade too far, maybe back to these highs here at best, we'll look for that move to happen. But going on to the lower time frames, you can see strong rejection there, looking for some retracement, maybe a double top at these areas, or kind of a triple top, 1, 2, and 3, and then shorts back to the downside, first target being back to the lows, and then we'll look for a push into that weekly level down there. So that is the plan for euro pound. Still overall bearish on this pair. If we get back above, like I said, there might be some short-term buys, but I do still see the market going south. So if we do get back above, it might just be a deeper correction, and then we go head south later onwards. But we'll not write off the buying opportunities, because again, 0.7 key level. If it were above it and use that support, there'll most likely be some good buys to take advantage of. But if we do reject the resistance, we'll be in line for all the higher time frames and the trend and the momentum. So these shorts do look very, very good. But if we do break above, we can also take advantage of that happening as well. There's some buys into 0.72600. So that is the plan for next week. We're looking for the market to come a lot lower. We've got this 0.7 level. We'll look to see if we can hold that as resistance or support, and that will give us the foundation to either sell the pair or buy the pair if you do break above it and retest it. So yeah, that is the plan for next week for AUD USD. Okay, so now on to the NZD CAD, and as you can see, NZD CAD in the daily time frame is still dying to the downside, still bearish, which was expected. We still do have those higher time frame targets on the monthly at this wick here, which is where I'm expecting the market to head to, form the nice little lower high there, taking out that wick, form that lower high in respect to those highs up there. Now I'm expecting the market to come and run these lows. So 0.8, very, very key psychological level. That is where I'm expecting the market to head to. I wasn't expecting it to happen so quickly. I thought maybe we might see some retracement because we've had such a big drop. Thought we might come to retrace a little bit before we continue, retest this structure here, which we did the week before. But you can see the market's just extremely bearish and just rolling over. So more downside into 0.80, 100, 180 there. All we're looking for is retracement really. We've got a nice support level here, where price was consolidating through, broke to the downside with a lot of momentum midweek there. So if you can come and retest that, that would be great. And then we can look for some sells here to take advantage of that. But not interested in any buys, you know, with this type of structure, and I'll probably interested at buys at 0.8, but only when we get to 0.8. Before that, even if you do see some strong rallies, looking to sell it back down, as long as we don't get back above this level there, which if I go on the daily time frame is that price swing low. As long as we stay below that, you know, the probability of us getting to these lows is pretty high. So any rallies you see, most likely you're going to short them back down, obviously when you get your proper signals to sell them. But NZD CAD, seeing this one come straight back down into 0.80180. There's a chance that we might just open up and roll over straight away. If that's the case, you know, we'll see what happens at this level here for some buys potentially. But yeah, the market is still extremely bearish. So looking for the retracement to take this right back down into 0.80181 for next week. Okay, so up next, pound NZD. So this pair was bullish on this week, and we did see a nice move to the upside. We opened up from here and just flew to the upside really for pound NZD. So did see those buys happen very, very quickly. And then we came into the 1.96 area. Our targets were slightly above that at these highs here, which we came pretty close to. The market may not revisit those highs up there. It could roll over before that. But yeah, pound NZD, nice move to the upside, and then mainly consolidation for the rest of the week. As you can see, I'm looking for the market to roll over now. Not completely bearish yet, but just a push back down into these areas. We've had consolidation here, which we had a fake out kind of midweek here. So looking to see if the market can have an actual breakout, the retest, and then catch a nice sales to the downside. Probably want to drop to lower time frames to maximize risk to rewards. But that is the setup I am looking for pound NZD back into this area, which we did have that breakout this week, never got the retest of. So I'm looking at price coming back into the 1.92846, so roughly around the 1.93 area. And if we can hold this, you know, I do think that we buys right back up again into those highs there, looking for that next high low potentially. So yeah, looking for this opportunity here. Pound NZD, I'm expecting downside first. Then if we can hold this level, because we could obviously break through, if we can hold this level, then I'm looking for a push back up into that kind of in that consolidation zone, which is 1.95500. We may push higher, but you know, just be on the safe side, we'll look for a push back into that range there. So pound NZD, expecting downside to start off the week. Look for the retest of that level, and then shorts into those lows. And then if you can hold this level at 1.2885, you know, we'll look for longs back up into that range at 1.955 for next week. And now we'll move on to CAD JPY. So CAD JPY this week, we were looking for the rollover back down into this support here. As you can see, we smashed into that on Thursday, quickly recovered on Friday, but we did see that rollover from that consolidation. We were anticipating that next lower high. We got the high one there, second, and we're looking for the third one. As you can see, we did roll it over into that support there pretty swiftly off the back of some news actually. So CAD JPY is interesting. I'm not quite bearish yet, even though I was expecting the market to roll over this week. It was more just, you know, momentum and just seeing kind of a correction phase, because overall the market is still pretty bullish despite this bearish momentum. You could still place a high low in somewhere and see price back at some highs, you know, like I've been saying for the past few weeks now. Still do have monthly targets at 104, 105 as well, that kind of area up there. And if I do go onto the weekly time frame, you can see a big wick there to the downside showing rejection. So won't be surprised if the next candle for next week is bullish. So CAD JPY, we are coming into this area right now of consolidation, which the market broke to the downside pretty steeply of. If we can break above this level and use it as support, I'm expecting the next higher low to form and price to move back into these highs up here. So that is mainly what I'm going to be looking for CAD JPY, because I'm not bearish yet for this one. Most JPY pairs I'm not quite bearish yet, even though they have broke to the downside, apart from maybe Aodu and NZD. But these pairs for me are still quite bullish. So we've got the high there, higher low there, higher high there, possibly higher low there. And I'm looking at a push back into 102, 800, 103 back to the high. So that is the setup I've got my eyes on for CAD JPY for the week ahead. Okay, so now onto pound USD. So again, pound USD overall still bearish, not much movement for this one, kind of very choppy, as you can see in the 4H. Did see a sharp move, or a fairly sharp move, kind of midweek out of this consolidation, but overall the market hasn't moved too much for pound USD since the consolidation we had a couple of weeks ago. But for this pair, I do have some downside targets which price hasn't quite hit yet, which is this low here, just kind of below that 1.21 psychological mark. But we are starting to run out of steam. You can see by the way the market is moving on daily in the 4H. We are running out of steam here to the downside after the colossal drop we had from 1.3. The market could start to see some life come back into it. I'm mainly focused at this area of consolidation which we had this week, which we did break to the downside. Market broke to the downside, consolidated again, and now it's coming back in to retest it. So if we hold that, I'm expecting the market to roll over back down into our 1.21 weekly target. If we climb back into the consolidation, I probably won't do anything for pounds, because in here a lot of indecision, and I'll wait for price to make up its mind, it's clear, show us its direction clearly, and then I'll look to trade it. So I'll wait for price to break through the highs, and then I'll look for the retest, and then we do have a few areas where I'll look to target, but mainly the target will be back up at these highs at 1.26. There's some lower time frame levels you can look at if you're working on the lower time frames as well, but 1.26 will be the area I'm looking for. So yeah, pound USD still am bearish on the pair structure, everything's still to the downside, but we are coming up to some higher time frame levels, and the market is obviously showing some signs of exhaustion that we could be looking for some upside. So again, gonna make sure you guys are aware of the upside opportunities that do lie ahead if we take that path. But like I said, momentum's still bearish, so be focused on the shorts until the market breaks structure and breaks through some levels to show us that we're going bullish, and then we'll look for our buy opportunities. But if we can hold this, looking for the market to roll back over into 1.21, break above, look for the retest of this level here, which is 1.23800, and targets at 1.26 for next week. Okay, so now on to pound CAD. Now this pair again still looking bearish, which was expected. Again, coming into the week, I told you guys still bearish on this pair, even though we've been bearish for quite a while, but there's a reason for that. And the market had some nice pullbacks this week. I continued, I said, watch out for these kind of areas here. It came slightly above it, but the market then did roll over, and it is still looking quite bearish right now. So I'm still expecting more downside for pound CAD. I do have some higher time frame targets. We've got the wick all the way down here, which I do think the market is getting ready to take out. And I'm also looking at the market coming into these areas here. We can see those aggressive wicks here, really strong higher time frame support. This is the weekly time frame here. So I do believe that is 1.54 on the dot there. What are the odds? So yeah, I do see us coming back into the 1.54 area long term. There's a chance we could just break straight through in the next couple of weeks, could take us there, or we might have a slight bounce, some recovery, because we've been extremely bearish, as you can see. We might have some slight recovery, but the overall direction is still firmly to the downside, and the bears are in control of this one. So the way to play this one is to wait for some retracement. Had some nice retracement last week. It'd be nice to get it again this week. Really nice level of support, resistance. If we come back and retest that from the next lower high, you can get some shorts there to the downside. Got a bit of a trend line confluence going on there as well. So really nice setup could be forming in this area. Targets for the week probably will be just this wick here at 1.5737. Maybe look to push it to the next psychological level at 1.57. Long-term targets on 1.54. If you want to swing the opportunity, you can look to do that. But take it as it comes. But that will be the next long-term target for pound CAD. So that's what I'm looking at for this one for next week. So retracing back up into the 1.59155 area, looking for that next lower high, and then targets back at those lows, and then again you can push it further if you want to 1.57, 1.56 if you want to push the trade further. Okay, so now onto pound JPY. So as you can see, nice move to the downside this week, which was expected. We were looking for the market to roll over back down into this key area here, which we did break through not too long ago, never got the retest, and finally the market is doing just that right now. So pound JPY did see some nice downside. We've broken through this support here, which is kind of like a neckline for head and shoulder pattern, as you can see. If I get the tool out, got the left there, the head, and then the right. I've broken through. So this is a key area, 160, and again key psychological level as well. 160, very key level. So we'll be looking to see what happens on the retest, because if we do hold this, as resistance, the market can definitely go a lot further. Because again, we've had this crazy bull run. We could see a lot more downside and price retrace. Pretty much this whole bull run here could be retraced, and we could be trading back at those lows if the downtrend does continue. However, if we do get back above, this could be just a big false breakout, to get the market back on its bike again to the upside. So we'll look to see what happens. You can see big wick there on the weekly, so not the best sign of things. If we do climb back above next week and close back above, we probably will see price come back to those highs pretty swiftly after that. So we'll have my focus on that 160 level to see what happens. Looking pretty bearish overall, but we'll see what happens on the retest. If we can hold that, we'll be looking for sales right back down into the lows. Not gonna probably push the trade further than that this week, right back to the lows at 155 600. Not going to push the trade further than that. We'll just look for a retest and back down again. Again, you might be able to push it further if it is successful, but for the week ahead, that's a nice logical target to have. If you get back above and retest that as support, and again, a key thing is you want to see the higher time frames close above. So mainly the daily, you want to see a daily close back above these levels, not 4H, because it could easily be false, or even lower time frames will probably be false as well. So if you do see a strong daily close above, then we can look for the retest, and then targets for this one back at these areas here. We could again go further, but for the week ahead, we'll look for a move into those highs up there. So that will be the plan for Euro Pound. Not Euro Pound, that's such a random pair. Pound JPY. So focus on key psychological level, key level 160. We'll see if we can hold that. If we do, right back down for this one. If we break above, we'll look for the retest and take some longs. But again, not quite overall bearish yet for the yen pairs. I still do think there's some life in them, so if you do get above, I'll be quickly looking for those longs to take advantage of them. But that is the opportunities I will be looking at for pound JPY for the week ahead. Okay, so now on to gold. So gold, more downside for this one, looking pretty bearish, which was expected. I said as long as we stay below 1900, we're expecting more downside. We had targets at 1832, which was this higher time frame level of resistance turn support, which the market is actually trading below right now. So we've broken through that target there, but we were expecting gold to roll over as long as we didn't break through that 1900 mark, and we've been placing lower highs ever since that. So more downside for this one. I still do see more downside, in fact, for gold. I'm looking at the 1780, 1770 area, which is this key higher time frame support. Probably looks better on the week time frame to view it, because there's so many candles and wicks there on the daily. But this kind of level here is what I'm expecting the market to head to next, before maybe you might see some recovery. Well, most likely we'll see recovery sooner or later for gold. It's not going to just fall out the sky, but it's the level where I'm expecting to see some upside from. But as you can see, I'm still expecting more downside for us to get there. Gold's looking extremely bearish right now. Dollar still quite strong, I still do expect some strength for dollar. It might get a little bit weak because it does need to see some retracement eventually, but overall the long-term vision for dollar is still to the upside. And I'm expecting 1780 here for gold. So yeah, more downside for this one. It'd be nice if we come back and retest 1832 as resistance now of the daily chart. So come back and retest it on the next lower high, and then shorts into 1780. Then if we can hold this level, again, so many points there. If we can hold this level, then we can probably see some longs back up into that same area. So that's what I'm looking at gold. Again, I don't expect all this to happen in 1 week, but that's kind of the vision for the next probably a couple of weeks at least, probably for gold. So downside then upside again. Yeah, this is a pretty big level, you know, it's between 1760 and 1780. Again, the key thing is just to monitor what price does in this zone here. If we start to see some bullish structure form, you can get some buys and take advantage of that. Yeah, this is definitely a high time frame level, so just because price reaches that, don't just buy it. It could actually break through as well. You know, I don't have a crystal ball. So we'll see what type of price action we can get in this area. You know, if it is, you know, some bullish structure and we start looking bullish again, you know, we can take advantage of some buys back up into 1832, and likewise here we'll look for some shorts if you get a signal back to the downside. But in the meantime, expecting more downside for gold back down into that 1780, 1770 area, and if we can hold, looking for a push back to the upside for gold for the next week. Okay, now on to Bitcoin, last but not least. Okay, so for this pair, absolutely died this week. Big bloodbath here to the downside, and our targets, so that 31k, 30k area, as you can see, have been hit. We've actually wicked below that into the kind of areas of 25k. So we've had a pretty big downside move for Bitcoin, which again was expected. We were looking for the market to roll over. Was saying, you know, we can look for the break and retest of this level here, but you know, there was no real opportunity for that. The market broke through pretty rapidly, never got the retest of that, just melted. But Bitcoin is still at a key area. We're still at this kind of 30k level of support. We have broken through with that wick there, but we have pulled back above, so I'm not going to say the market has broken through that level just yet. It very well could in the next week just break through with that momentum if that maintains. And if that is the case, then I'm looking at Bitcoin coming into 19k, which is that prior swing high, you know, that last kind of bull run, formed that high there, and then we retraced, and then we had that next bull run all the way up to 60, what was it, 62, 63, 64k. So if we do break through that, you know, that's the next logical place. We do expect Bitcoin to head back into 19,550. So that's what I'm expecting Bitcoin to get to if we do break through this zone. But as of right now, we're still holding on to, you can see those wicks there. So again, if we do stay above this, we'll be looking for long opportunities. We don't want to use the tool again. If I just minimize this zone for you guys so it doesn't get too clustered in there, but we do have this level here. So I'm going to look to see if we can break above this, and then from there I'll look for some buys. You know, I would expect buys to be presented to us to come and retest that high time frame level there at 37k. You can probably see some life come back into Bitcoin, maybe if you do see some dollar weakness. So that could be a nice opportunity there. But again, the market is still extremely bearish for Bitcoin right now. So if we just break through that level, we don't want to be placing buys at this level here, because, you know, leaving ourselves exposed a little bit. And again, wicks like this could definitely be of recurrence. You can see last time we were at this level here, how many wicks there to the downside. Again, taking out a lot of stop losses, you know, buying at, you know, quite aggressive areas. So we'll wait for the structure to shift bullish for those longs, because we are still trading at that monthly zone. So if you do break above, then we can catch some nice buys into that zone there. If not, and we break through, then on the retest, looking for that next lower high, you know, possibly a bit of a trend line going on there, looking for that next lower high, you know, and we can keep shorting this and just riding that momentum all the way back down into 19,500. So I do see both plays happening out. It just depends if the momentum sustains and if you can break through this strong, you know, 30 region here, because there definitely will be some buyers stepping into the market at this level. Let's see if they can hold it or not. But Bitcoin break below 2930k, look for the retest, sales back down to 19,500. If we get back above this level, we can look for some longs. Right then we have some nice bullish structure developing, and we can look at some recovery back to the 37k level all the way up there. So that is the plan for Bitcoin.
All right, guys, that's the end of the video for today. I hope you have enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, agree, disagree, you know, have any thoughts or analysis of yourself that you'd like to share. Leave in the comments and I will get back to you. If you are enjoying the videos, you know, leave a like. It does really help the channel out, and make sure you subscribe and, you know, hit the bell as well to stay in the loop so you don't miss out on any analysis or videos in the future. But I do hope you guys have a great weekend, enjoy your day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.